Greetings, programs. This is Wretch. Welcome back to VTM Coteries of New York. And in the last episode, Xavier tried to track down his stalker and walked right into an anarch feeding session, which could have ended very badly, but fortunately we were able to talk our way out of it, and it's a good thing that we did too, because we desperately need blood, and the last thing we need to do is spend blood on disciplines to get ourselves out of a scrap. So we still have missions for our coterie members to do, and we also have the reporter and Benoit, and I'm trying to take care of the other denizens before we get back to our potential coterie members. So let's go ahead and see what's going on with the reporter, who I thought we dominated. You've taken care of Frank Dougherty, but apparently there's someone still staking out Sophie's apartment. He's not that stupid, is he? Let's find out. The weather is cold and windy as you walk to Sophie's apartment. As a vampire, that doesn't matter anymore. You may have been saddled with eternal hunger, but at least you can ignore the wind chill. Just as you come to the door of Sophie's building, she storms out, murmuring into her phone. "Yes, I know. Don't worry. I trust you to handle it." You've heard Sophie talk to her associates before. It's always the same, generalities and vague suggestions. It makes you think she's involved in mysterious machinations, yet doesn't tell you anything. Sophie is dressed to kill, but there's nothing unusual in that. She likes to make an impression. A black car with tinted windows is waiting for her in the front of the door. A chauffeur steps out to open the car door for her. Sophie notices you. "I'm glad you're in the neighborhood. If you could look around for me one more time, that would be wonderful. You told me you'd gotten rid of that reporter. It turns out he's still here, snooping around." Sophie is very good at communicating disappointment. She doesn't have to do much to make it clear that she's unhappy to have to return to this issue. I'll take care of it. After tonight, he won't trouble you anymore." "Good. Don't disappoint me." The reporter talked his way into the building during the day. Once the doorman understood what was happening, he threw the reporter out. "He showed old pictures of me to my neighbors. It's very awkward. You understand?" Sophie disappears into the car and the chauffeur closes the door behind her. You watch as the sleek vehicle disappears into the Manhattan traffic. Just one anonymous car among many. Best sit down somewhere and devise a plan of action. You go to a nearby diner, settle into a booth, and order coffee from a steely-eyed Latino waitress. As she brings you your cup, you describe Frank Dougherty to her on the off chance she's seen something. Just as she's about to answer, you happen to look outside. Something catches your eye. The diner is brightly lit, so you lean closer to the window to see the street through it. You got lucky. Frank is standing on the sidewalk on the other side of the street, looking at something on his phone. You slide out of the booth, throwing a few small bills on the table. Mumbling something to the waitress, you step outside. Specs. Trust in the powers of the blood. I would like to, but don't want to get too hungry, so let's go ahead and follow Frank covertly. For a reporter, Frank isn't terribly observant. You keep your distance, hiding behind people and cars, but he doesn't look around. It seems like he wants to find a private nook to inspect the photos he took tonight. An alley. He ducks in, and you follow.
"Oh God, it's you again. Please, I'm working on a different story. I swear."
Frank retreats deeper into the alley. See, this is probably our biggest potential Masquerade breach that we've seen. Hope's chat room aside, though that wasn't technically a Masquerade breach. Don't worry, Frank. I know all about why you're here.
You do? I mean... Okay, look, I'm sorry I tried to bullshit you. Just tell me how I can help you.
How come you're here? I thought we agreed there's no story.
Usually when someone says there's no story, that means there is a story. I just couldn't let it go. Look, I don't want any trouble. I can see that you're serious. There's something to Sophie Langley, and I think you know what it is.
You take a long, hard look at Frank Dougherty. He's a tenacious man, but not brave. After the last time you met, you were sure he had been dealt with. Where did he find the courage to come here again? Yeah, it's kind of curious if it's something big enough that he would actually, like, circumnavigate, dominate. I like you, Frank. You don't give up. What's your real angle here?
Everybody plays an angle. That's one of the things you learn in my profession. You're smart. You know that there'll be others after me. If there's a real story, they'll come and find it. Your best shot is with a friendly reporter. Someone you can trust. Someone like me. So what do you say? Get ahead of the story. It'll be good for you and Miss Langley too.
You almost believe it. But something about Frank feels off. Trust in your blood and convince Frank? No. I know presence would probably be a little bit more effective because we are a Toreador and presence is one of our native disciplines, but I'm kind of curious. Do you have a personal interest in Sophie Langley, Frank?
What? No. Oh, I mean, she is a very attractive woman, but I make it a rule never to get involved with people I write about.
You're known for your professional ethics, Frank.
On this issue, I've never made a mistake.
Frank sounds almost sad as he says it. Oh.
Sometimes I just need some extra money, that's all.
And where does this extra money come from?
There's a guy, he's paying me, that's all, but I can't talk about that.
Oh, okay, well, that would take care of our blood problem. Oh man, I don't know what to do. Push Frank for information. We can offer Frank to work for us, but we don't have any money. Like, there's nothing... Okay. So we either push Frank for information or drain him dry. The blood does seem interesting. Or does seem enticing, let's say. Oh... I don't know if Xavier would be to that point yet. And I think Sophie would probably like to know who is pulling the strings behind the scenes of this portly reporter. So let's see what happens here. Come on. You can give me more than that.
No, really, even I don't know all that much about these people.
You're a reporter. What do your instincts tell you?
I'm not sure. I can't get a handle on them. I don't think it's blackmail, or a business rival, or an ex. Okay, that's enough. I can't tell you anything more. You've got to consider the position I'm in.
He'll come back a third time. Ditch those guys you work for. We're not done, Frank.
Fine, I'll leave it alone. I'm done with this. It was all bullshit anyway. You could tell Sophie Langley that you won't see me anymore.
As Frank leaves the alley, you consider your victory. He sounded defeated, sincere. But is it really up to him whether he returns or not? Probably not. In hindsight, we probably should have drained him dry. Okay, let's go ahead and rest. Ooh, it looks like we may have ran out of filler things to do during the day. Now we're just knocking out missions. Benoit believes the time has come for you to meet Father Anthony. The holy man's presence terrifies you, but... yeah, what? Oh, sure, true faith. What could go wrong? Approaching the cathedral on the streets makes you nervous. You've been here twice, and twice something bad has happened. Or almost happened, as in both cases you ran away. Benoit suggested it's time to stop running and experience faith head on. Perhaps he's right. Maybe it is cowardly to take refuge in rationalizations when you know what you felt. The holiness of the priest and your own damnation. Walking towards the doors of the cathedral, you glance at the bench where you sat where you first met Benoit. He's waiting for you, sitting and contemplating the cathedral's Gothic architecture. The more I think about these questions of faith, the harder it is to let go. I know how that feels. Benoit looks different than before. Intense. Certain. You've had some time to think about what we spoke of before. I'm not sure what to believe. All these stories just seem so fantastical. You don't have to believe. You just have to open your heart to the faith Father Anthony represents. Let's go see Father Anthony. It's best not to talk in the cathedral, so I arranged for us to see him at his home. I have a car nearby. Yeah, considering the fact that Benoit is Sophie's child and like we're the new kid on the block, this could be a way for him to get rid of us. This better be on the level, Benoit. We're beyond that kind of tough talk, don't you think? You follow Benoit as he walks down the street until you come to his car. A surprisingly pedestrian family sedan. The essence of the Masquerade is inconspicuousness. Nobody expects a vampire to drive a car like this. Benoit drives north towards Queens. During these moments, you feel almost anonymous. Just another speck of dust in a vast machine where every action influences the whole in tiny ways. The one thing you've learned about the Kindred is that they are not lacking in self-regard. The prince of the Camarilla city is said to rule the domain, yet how much do they really affect mortal affairs? If you ask a vampire, they'll say a lot. Perhaps that's what made Benoit turn inward. The futility of finding meaning in a secret, predatory existence. Benoit stops in front of a red brick row house. A little run down, but probably not cheap. Benoit notes your interest. Father Anthony comes from an old New York family. He inherited the house. When I first met him, I was suspicious, so I checked up on him. Despite the way he keeps putting you in dangerous situations, kindred paranoia seems to come naturally to Benoit. Perhaps there's something you can learn from him. Isn't this a masquerade breach? I suppose, but we make ghouls all the time. We hunt. The masquerade is threatened regularly with much worse than this. You follow Benoit to the stairs, looking around for any signs of an ambush. As you get to the door, the first signs of trepidation hit you. The discomfort. The pain that'll follow you once you're inside. Feels like a physical thing. A burning sensation under your skin, in your blood. You look to see how Benoit is taking it. He's smiling, eyes closed for a second before knocking on the door. Almost as if he's enjoying the sensation. The door opens and you see Father Anthony's kindly face. Your body feels as if it's in a vice. You haven't really been bothered by hot or cold since you were embraced, but now it feels like the surface of your skin is overwhelmed with sensation. Fear and terror are paralyzing. Yes. You barely hear Benoit's whisper. Well, come in, you two. I might not know much, but I know enough not to do this on the porch. You force yourself to follow Father Anthony into the apartment, despite the splitting headache and rising panic. It's hard to take in your surroundings. Everything seems to vibrate, seeking to engulf you. Framed portraits on a mantelpiece, a cross on the wall, a living room with lots of books, many of them old. I'm not sure I can offer you anything. You don't drink tea, I suppose? No, we don't. We need. If this is holiness, why does it feel like pain? Oh, my child. I understand that thanks to your condition, you're under unusual stress. Please, Father. You know this is difficult for us. You'll forgive me if I don't waste time. Father Anthony looks pained. Whether because of the rudeness or out of sympathy for your condition, you can't tell. He motions for you to sit down, but you and Benoit are both too agitated to do so. You feel trapped, like a moth being smeared against a burning light bulb. It's hard to look at Father Anthony, but you can't look at anything else either. Benoit is starting to look increasingly unhinged. His eyes look as if he's seen into some divine beyond just outside the grasp of your senses. Now's the time, my friend. You have to decide if you're ready for salvation. Prove your faith by embracing the Father, and let His radiance envelop you. Whoa. Okay. Embracing. Oh, not literally embracing like vampire. You know what? No. I think it's time for us to go, if they're even going to let us go. This was a mistake. I have to go. Something hits you in the face, and you fall to your knees. If you were human, you'd be bleeding all over your clothes. Now you just feel pieces of your teeth inside your mouth. Benoit stands over you with a heavy candlestick. It's too late to back down now. God's grace is with us. Startled, Father Anthony takes a step back. Benoit, what are you doing? Father, it's time to be redeemed. For both of us. Benoit falls to his knees next to you, lifting his face in full embrace of the holy agony. This is not right, Benoit. Everyone has a chance for salvation. I understand there's something in God's presence that burns you, but you can work through it. Please, Benoit. There are many paths to salvation, and we'll find yours. I won't hurt you or your friend. Benoit moans in pain, stricken with grief and disbelief at Father Anthony's refusal. Please, Father, they don't even believe. Not truly. Father Anthony looks at you and seems to waver. Even his belief in salvation has limits. Profess your belief? Kill the father? Run away. Yeah, blood. We're running away. This has gone too long. You must summon the last reserves of your blood and escape. In less time than it takes to blink, you're at the door and outside, using your vampiric speed to escape the pain and fear of Father Anthony's holy presence. There was nothing good going on in that house. You're about to stop at the curb, but glancing back, you realize Benoit is right behind you. Ah, crap. The philosophical, rueful Benoit is gone. Instead, you see a man twisted by resentment and abandonment, burning with hate towards you. The mask is off, and you realize that he wants you to burn under Father Anthony's touch, even if he has to force you to do it. Ah, that's exactly what it was. It was so artistically done. You're fast enough that for most bystanders you're just a blur, and quick movement that's already gone by the time they start paying attention. Still, running on the street does no favors to the Masquerade. There are 1,000 cameras on the streets of New York, and as you run past pedestrians, the odds of someone starting to wonder increase. Benoit is past caring. You hear a low growl as he gains on you, fangs out, ready to tear at your neck. You duck into an alley, hoping there's somewhere for you to go. A homeless man stares right at you as you streak past. Benoit can't be far behind. It's not very dignified, but beggars can't be choosers. You jump into a dumpster and pull the lid closed. You lie still in the stench of the garbage. In moments like these, you're grateful for not having to breathe. Is Benoit still outside? Did he fall for it? You wait for what seems like an eternity before you cautiously lift the lid of the dumpster. Just the alley. Benoit is nowhere in sight. You escaped. You're safe, but the implications of your experience are troubling. What does this mean? Whether practical or spiritual, it feels like you have to think about this for a long time. You're free to return to your haven, and there is a distinct temptation to keep the events of the night to yourself. Yet these events cannot be good for the Masquerade. Keep the events of the night to ourselves, go talk to Sophie. I can definitely see the temptation to keep the events of the night to ourselves, but, and I know that Sophie has already stressed enough with the reporter and everything, but her child did try to kill us with true faith, and all the implications of that with the church, potential inquisition, that's bad. We probably need to let Sophie know. Hopefully she doesn't kill us and sees us as a loose end, but let's, yeah, we're going to talk to Sophie. You make your way to Sophie's apartment, seeking comfort in the anonymity of the crowds of the New York sidewalks. Some are coming from a late shift at work. Others are going out. You nod to the doorman and slip into Sophie's building. Go up and knock on her door. Sophie opens the door in the middle of a phone call. She motions you to come in as she mumbles assent to the phone. She could be talking about earth-shattering secrets or an acquisition from an art gallery. Following Sophie's cue, you sit down in the living room. A few moments later, Sophie ends her call and sits down opposite you, regarding you with her usual mix of paternalism and disdain. Not to mention the fact we're probably covered in garbage. You appear shaken up. That's not a good look to cultivate in the world of the kindred. I don't know about... The thing about it is that Father Anthony seemed like he legit wanted to help. Like, both must be punished. I don't necessarily see that. But we definitely need to tell her about Benoit. I have to tell you something about Benoit, your child. Benoit. I haven't heard from him in a while. Where did you dig him up? Benoit can be saved. Benoit is dangerous. I would say Benoit is dangerous. Benoit is talking to mortals about us. You have to ask Xavier to put him down. Sophie looks at you with such anger. For a moment, you're afraid she'll slap you. The moment passes as soon as it came. She looks lonely for a moment before speaking. I suppose you're right. That's how we deal with wayward children. I'll have a talk with Xavier about Benoit. Let's keep your name out of this. Poor Benoit. He never did come to grips with his nature. You leave Sophie's apartment, unsure whether you did the right thing. Despite everything, Benoit showed you something that's impossible to dismiss. In the coming nights, you'll have to decide what it means. If faith is real, what is the role of a vampire? Which myths can you build your life on? The faith of the furious. Perhaps one day, you'll find your way back to Father Anthony's door. Whew. Okay, and now all we have are... I wonder if all of those side missions that we're doing, all the side quests, if they all come back in like the main story, since they're gone now. Nothing left to do but talk to our potential coterie members. I guess we should do this in the same order in which we originally did. We can go talk to D'Angelo first, and then Hope. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. It's been a while since you heard from D'Angelo. The gift that keeps on giving. Maybe he's busy, sticking his nose where it doesn't belong. Or maybe he's pissed off the wrong people and now is rotting in a ditch somewhere. Either way, now's as good a time as any to check up on him. Yeah, let's do that. We got a little bit of time. You make your way through the now familiar rusty maze of the grain terminal and up the stairs to D'Angelo's office. This time, however, you find the room firmly locked. There's a note pinned to the door. You rip it off and scan through the crooked lettering. There's been another one. At the scene now. Come to Bedstuy, corner of Pulaski and Garvey, ASAP. Looks like D'Angelo could use your help. Better get going. As you approach the address D'Angelo gave you, a squad car passes you by, sirens blaring. Following it, you make a turn from DeKalb Avenue into Pulaski Street. Sure enough, the street is awash with red light, and the 4 or so police cars parked on the nearest corner, next to an ambulance, confirm that you're in the right place. You move closer to what appears to be the New York's finest convention, looking around in hope of spotting a familiar, if not altogether pleasant face. No such luck. True to his Nosferatu lineage, D'Angelo is nowhere to be seen. You stop on the sidewalk across the street, trying not to draw attention to yourself. All of a sudden, one of the cops standing by the entrance to the building looks straight at you. He gives you a double take, and you instinctively look away. Bad move, you think to yourself as you notice him making his way towards you. Oh, okay, so we have got... This could be interesting. Who knows where the cop recognizes it from? It could be D'Angelo, using Mask of 1,000 Faces or some form of obfuscate. But I'll tell you what, guys. This seems like a decision we should be making at the beginning of the next episode. We basically called for Benoit's death. We let the reporter live. We'll see the consequences of that later, I assume, and probably Benoit's as well. But yeah, it's interesting. It's just in a very artistic way, he was trying to have us killed with the true faith that he adored. Maybe he wanted to actually see someone die via true faith. And obviously us being Sophie's new favorite, that would make sense. Very interesting character as Benoit. Seemed like something you would see in like a TV, like a long-running villain. But we kind of cut that by having Kadir say, please go kill him. Because I don't think there was any saving him whatsoever. He was kind of going a little bit the other way toward the unredeemable. But we will go ahead and pick this up next time. Hope you all have enjoyed it. If you liked the episode, please leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, that'd be a big help. And we'll see you in the next episode as we talk to this gentleman and hopefully not get arrested. Later days, everyone.